Recording in progress.
All right, is everybody ready? Ready to go? Okay, I'd like to call the August 13th, 2024 City of Trinidad City Council meeting to order. And begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The council did not have a closed session this evening, so we'll just move on to our approval of tonight's agenda. So I'll start with the council. Are there any questions or comments about tonight's agenda? All right. Any public comments or questions regarding the council's agenda for this evening?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I wasn't quick enough on the draw.
Sure.
The minutes. I'm wondering about the minutes.
Okay.
Because I depend on those to be able to remember what happened last time. So I wonder if there's anything to be done. I think I've brought it up before.
Yeah.
And it just seems like there's a bottleneck somewhere, and if we could address that.
I'm the bottleneck.
Be the bottleneck.
I'm the bottleneck, and I apologize. I sent a message out today. It's just, I don't like to make excuses, but this is just a really trying time for us. And, you know, I've defaulted to the fact that we have the Zoom recordings to get the minutes complete, which I intended to do this month, but with all the election and all the deadlines.
Yeah.
I just struggled, and it's not really something we can delegate. So I just asked in an email I sent you guys today, just maybe your patience one more month and I'll have everything caught up.
Well, because if it's like an ongoing bottleneck, maybe we need another solution.
That's a really good point. I noticed it just kind of started in February of this year, February, March, things started to kind of pile up. And, you know, I think it's just a busy year and staffing changes. It's kind of unprecedented from my seat, you know, and I the best I can.
I'm sure you are getting. I just wondered if it's something that we need another
If you're on Zoom, could you please mute? Sorry, Katie.
No, I was just wondering if we need another solution, because I'm sure you're doing everything you can.
I think we could always use new solutions. And I think we might be on track for one here as we kind of restaff as we're intending to do this. So I think that'll kind of help us rebalance and redistribute the workload.
Okay.
But I will do everything in my power.
I know you will. And if it doesn't work, we can readdress it and maybe really put our heads about another solution.
Sounds good.
Okay, I'm going to bring it, sorry, let me continue with any public comment. I'm going to take us back to the agenda for just a second. So for tonight's agenda, are there any public comments or questions regarding the agenda for the council meeting? Okay, then I'll bring it back to the council.
To approve tonight's agenda? Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the agenda is passed unanimously. And the next item on the agenda is the approval of tonight's minutes. And as we just discussed, there will be no minutes for the meeting. And I think we've discussed that. So I will not open to public comments because there are no minutes. Let me move on then to council and committee reports. And who would like to start?
Vote for Jack.
Okay, I second.
That's Steve's on the council.
I only have a couple more of these, so I
know.
make good use of this.
All right, there was no HCOG meeting, so I didn't do that. I want to just talk a little bit about trails. We got kind of stalled because we're trying to get figure out the post situation, and we have the rancherias offered to help us get through that. We also have one of our members working on a better way to put trails in. We've got some ideas. but summer also has created a lot of other activities and things going on. So we have talked about meeting as soon as the Rancheria has a little more time. They're going to meet with us, and we'll bring more information back. Hopefully, in the next month, if everything goes well, we can come up with some more information about where we're going with the trails. And those are the posts and the local trails that just are within Trinidad. It has nothing to do with the actual England or any of the other trails are kind of that the city's working on. So these are the other trails. So hopefully we'll have something going. We do have some ideas. The other thing I wanted to mention is if you didn't get to come to the T-BAM concert, any of the T-BAM concerts over the last 2 weekends, you missed a really good show. They were absolutely outstanding, all the ones I went to. And a lot of people were very happy about the various artists. The quality was absolutely fantastic. Some of these people are great. So if you haven't been to a T-BAM concert, you should look into it and try to get to it next year. But the ones I went to were absolutely fantastic. Well worth the time to do that. Between the Civic Club helps out. So I get to go in there and be a bartender. They must need for classical concerts.
1 second, I went to the T-BAM twice. I had not been before. Oh my God, it was just, I was charmed. I was just absolutely transported. It was wonderful musicianship, and a glass of wine and some macaroons didn't hurt.
So in the future, watch for this and please attend. It's a good performance.
Katie, do you want to?
We haven't met since the last meeting, but we have been working on the letter of introduction of the Animal Advisory Committee and getting that all ready. And Jack Thomas ordered the refrigerator magnets, which will have the town hall and the animal control phone numbers on it. And we're about ready to send that out. And then we have a meeting planned for September.
The Humboldt Transit Authority met this month, and we got a presentation from folks from the county about the sales tax that they're proposing for the November ballot. And I just found it to be very informative. Another tax is another tax, right? Everybody has their feelings about that. But what I did learn that I wanted to make sure folks know was that this came about because the state can take property taxes that the city and the county would use for roads. And so this is a way of ensuring that our roads and our transportation, because it was a Humboldt Transit Authority, that our public transportation and our roads are actually paid for with the money that we collect and get to use solely for that. And there are 3 different levels of sort of community and staff and fiscal oversight, how the money is spent. But for that penny a dollar, we'll have about $24 million a year as a county to fix our roads, keep our public transportation running. And so I just wanted folks to know that this is not just coming out of thin air, that the proposal, I think, is worth everyone looking into. So just want to pass that on. Redwood Region Economic Development did meet, but nothing relevant to Trinidad to report.
All right, thank you. I just have a quick one. The Community Emergency Response Team met on July 22nd. I wanted to thank the radio team. Richard Johnson is the leader, so he'll keep me honest on the quick report out. But the 2 damaged antennas on the firehouse have been replaced, and the antennas were tested. But the radials on the MFJ 80 millimeter to 6 millimeter antenna may need to be tweaked for optimum performance. So sorry, getting a little technical there, but anyway, the team is going to participate in a statewide OES, the Office of Emergency Services event on August 22nd. So brand new antennas on the firehouse. Is there anything I missed, Richard? Okay. And Brian Brown presented firefighting basics to the CERT team and all the kind of firefighting protocols. It was a great refresher. Upcoming seminars are going to be Stop the Bleed, which will be open to the public, and Animal Welfare in Emergencies also will be open to the public. We don't have dates yet. And then we'll also be doing some sort of a fall disaster drill. We have not decided which disaster yet, but there are plenty to choose from, so we're gonna look at that. Tomorrow morning, or tomorrow afternoon, I'm attending the LAFCO city selection meeting, so I wanted to mention this to Steve and Jack. I think you were on point, Steve, and then Jack, you were the alternate. So I just wanted to bring this up. I don't know if anyone, I know you guys are going to be leading the council with the next election cycle. So Jack Tuttle's not here. I don't know, Katie, if you have an interest in being, they meet every 2 months. I need to, I guess, find someone from the council to participate. So it could be me, it could be you, or Jack Tuttle.
I would just say that it's important for Trinidad to have someone on LAFCO only because we've been discussing annexation over the last 2 years, and it's LAFCO that leads that process. So if Trinidad wants to have a say in annexation, now is the time to be on LAFCO.
Okay. So I'm fine with being on point unless, but if you want to, Katie, I definitely would.
If I could, I would.
Okay,
I can't.
okay.
And their meetings, I want to say, are midday. I can't remember.
Oh, that could be.
When the
an issue
meetings
too.
are. They are during the day though.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and they only meet, I believe, every 2 months. So
Yeah,
that part is, I think so I'll go ahead and, unless someone, and we have to have somebody from our state, correct?
I mean, it would be
Ideally,
helpful, yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, I was just checking because I wasn't sure what the.
No, we don't, it doesn't, there's no requirement for Trinidad to be on it, but it's only open to city governments. And because, again, just because we've been talking about it,
Yeah.
it would be nice if we're part of that discussion.
Okay, all right, thanks for that, you guys, because since I have that meeting tomorrow, I thought I'd just cover it here. The Trinidad Town Hall rehab meeting, we have a team, a little focus, a little task force, I should say, that's gonna work on rehabbing the town hall, the painting and various things and replacing windows and so forth. So we'll meet tomorrow, now that we have have streamlined the contractor procurement process. That'll be I think we'll be able to come up with some next steps. So that's it for that. Are there any public comments or questions about the council or committee reports? All right, with that, then we're going to move on to items from the floor. And at this time, members of the public can
Staff report? Staff report.
Staff report. Did I skip staff report? I checked the box too soon. I apologize, Eli,
That's
please.
okay.
Go ahead.
I need to apologize to Lieutenant McCall, so I'll turn it over to Lieutenant McCall.
Good evening.
Yeah, hello, thank you.
No problem. So I will start off with saying we had a computer issue, so I do not have the stats for the greater Trinidad area that encompasses obviously a lot of the outlying area of Trinidad there that falls within the would be county jurisdiction. Our IT was working on that today, but apparently they weren't able to get that resolved before I headed home. So I do not have those for you. That being said, I do have the stats for the month of July for within the city of Trinidad itself. Nothing of real note on there that I'm seeing. For July, we had a total of 43 incidents inside the city. 9 of those, so almost a quarter of them, were transferred to other agencies. So that would be like things like a transfer to like medical or fire or a combination thereof. 4 alarm calls. 4 designated Trinidad patrol calls. We had 3 domestic violence incidents for the month of July, a couple of animal problems, a couple of patrol checks, a couple of public assist and restraining order violations, as well as a couple of suspicious circumstances and welfare check calls. And then we had 1 each of a bunch of other kind of, for the most part, again, nothing of major note, like 911 hang up, abandoned vehicle, a missing person that was resolved, dispatch report follow up, lost juvenile, which was resolved, parking violation, 1 petty theft, and 1 suspicious vehicle. So nothing that's standing out as major items of concern or showing any kind of uptick or issue with any particular criminal activity that I'm seeing from this one, at least as far as inside the city of Trinidad itself. Again, without having those for the outline area, which obviously can trickle in and kind of affect the overall quality of life anywhere surrounding it. I don't have those numbers, but I'm not aware of anything also standing out from that as well either occurring in the last month. That being said, I was off for a couple of weeks this last month, so if there's anything anybody's aware of or any questions regarding that, I'm more than happy to try and answer that or be of what assistance I can.
Any questions for Lieutenant McCall? No, it sounds like it was pretty quiet, so that's always good.
Agreed.
Any public comments or questions for Lieutenant McCall? All right, I'll bring it back to the council then and to you, Eli, for staff report. Thank you, Lieutenant McCall, for joining us.
Thanks. So my staff report in the packet, first of all, the 8SIP project, which is including crosswalks on Edwards, guardrails, striping, traffic calming improvements, and expanded pedestrian and bicyclist improvements. This would be in a variety of streets. RAO Construction is doing the work, and currently they're on right by Memphis at the corner of View and Main Street, doing work there. The water tank and pipeline project, the water tank is being delayed until October 1st, where they will start deconstructing the current, one of the current tanks that we do have, 150,000 gallon tank, which is redwood, and then eventually replacing it with a 250,000 stainless steel water tank. Then the water plant, one of the intake pumps at the water treatment plant is being replaced. It failed. And the discharge measurement from Luffenholz Creek was at the last reading, July 26th, 4.57 CFS, which is good for this time of the year. And mid-August, we'll do another reading. And the June invoice from Coleman Engineering was 11,535, and the July invoice was 8,270. As additional information was requested from a resident as to the water treatment plant, and the question was if we did receive any hours yet that were billed to the city by Coleman Engineering for the month of August, and the answer is no. And also the current total amount charged, let's see, sorry, I'm going to do that separately. The other question was detailed description of services rendered by both Coleman Engineering and Pacific Watershed Associates. Regarding Coleman Engineering, the invoices basically talk about water plant operation and reports to the state regarding the water plant. Then I'll just continue with the staff report and then get back to the other questions that were asked by one of our residents. The water rates, a mailing was done on July 23rd to all water customers in the city, informing them of a proposed water rate change and the Proposition 218 process. Customers are given 45 days if they wish to protest the proposed rates. And the letter spells out that written protest must be submitted by US mail or at the town hall with original signature from the owner and or property resident. Also the date and address of the property and affirmation. And then next month, on September 10th, we'll be holding a public hearing where the council will consider, number one, the responses we've received from the water customers, and number two, about the proposed water rate and the implementation of it. The other item is the school playground and track. This has surfaced recently where some residents wanted to utilize it, realized that it was not accessible to the residents. So tomorrow, we're having a meeting with the school and their JPA insurance pool representative, as well as our JPA insurance pool representative. So we could try to assess the status of insurance coverage in order to allow the playground and the track to be open to the public outside of school hours. And also Optimum cable channels added because of the change. Unfortunately, I was very disappointed to hear about the Pac-12, which happened a year ago. And as a result, now there's going to be the ACC network and the Big Ten network. So Optimum Cable has added those to their value TV package and also moved their location in the select TV lineups. And the Trinidad Coastal Land Trust has had several trivia nights, and they have another one coming up on August 27th from 6 to 8 here in the town hall. Last month's topics included geology, wildlife, and a wild card topic. And it's a donation to the land trust, and at the same time, a drink and pizza are available. And then attachments to the staff report include the water sold and water loss, and also the recruitments for city manager and for chief plant operator. Going back to the resident questions regarding Pacific Watershed Associates. So the current question was current total amount charged by Pacific Watershed Associates. And the answer is 0. The last billing they gave us was December of 2023. They appear to just charge us, at least for the last couple of years, they're charging us at the end of the year. So the total amount at the end of the year of 2023 was $21,910 for that calendar year. The other question was, what is the hourly rate charged to the city by Pacific Watershed Associates? They range, one of their employees is 100, another one's 108, another one's 131, and another one's 159. It depends on the class of the individual and if they're a scientist and so on. And as far as a little more detail about what Pacific Watershed Associates did for the $21,910 for last year, the description, a little more detailed description is based upon the billing invoices. So one of them is integration of the bypass flow telemeter with data analytics platform. So we have that at the water plant, the telemeter. So that was done. And then another one that was completed was our regular aging and low flow stream monitoring, which we had just recently done it, and will be happening again in August.
Come on, I'm gonna give you a little more to eat.
And then the other invoice was as needed geological and hydrological services. And this was based upon certain items done with Humboldt Creek and the water treatment plant and with the proposed storage tanks for raw water storage. And then the last invoice was regarding the LSAA acquisition of the City of Trinidad water rights. So that's called the Lake and Stream Bed Alteration Agreement. And that was required by the state, and that was completed by PWA. So in addition to that, I did want to mention that the county, along with the other cities, has been working on a regional climate action plan. And as a result, a 30-day public review period will begin tomorrow, August 14th, through Friday, September 13th. And then they're going to be having a public meeting in the Warfinger building in Eureka with the consultants on Tuesday, September 10th at 6 p.m., which is exactly our council meeting. Maybe other people in the public might want to attend. And then the other item, I sent the email, I just received it today and forwarded to all the council members. The Cal Cities is having a roundtable discussion for mayors and council members tomorrow at 12 p.m. Usually those run like maybe an hour to an hour and a half. They're saying it's a great opportunity to discuss certain issues dealing with cities. So that's all I have. I'll help entertain and answer any questions.
Eli,
Yes.
do I understand correctly that you're meeting tomorrow with the insurance people about the school playground and
Right.
asphalt? It is with the idea to see if we can get proper insurance so people can use it after hours?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, we used to have that arranged in the past, and for some reason, there's a glitch right now. So we'll try to figure out what that is and hopefully be able to iron it out.
Wait, any other questions from the council for Eli? All right, are there any public questions or comments regarding the staff report? Please come to the podium if you don't mind.
Ladies, I'd like to follow up on the public comment that was requested for the water plant stuff. I requested the invoices in a written public information request over 2 months ago. We haven't seen any of those invoices. And to me, saying that the invoices are just about what they've done at the water plant aren't sufficient. I'd like to see the exact invoices.
Okay.
And what the fees were that are attached to those invoices.
And staff, is that, we have that information and I remember Tom requesting it. Is that something we can provide to him? Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll get that to you, Tom. Apologies that.
Yeah, 2 months is actually over legal guidelines for the public request.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Other public comments regarding the staff report or any questions? Okay, seeing none, then we will now go to items from the floor. At this time, members of the public can come and to the podium or comment via Zoom on things that are not on tonight's agenda. So anything else that's on your mind? Okay, all right. Well, with that, I see no public comments, so we'll bring it back to the council to review the tonight's consent agenda. And any questions or comments from the council on tonight's consent? All right, I have none as well, so let's go to the public. Any questions or comments about the consent agenda? All right, I'll bring it back to the council. Is there a motion?
Move to approve consent.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, tonight's consent agenda then is approved, which brings us to the first item on tonight's agenda, which I'm personally very excited about, which is the presentation discussion from our community survey results. So Eli, I don't know if you want to introduce that. I know Jennifer's going to be presenting tonight for us, but.
Okay. Yeah, so the city council spearheaded by our mayor Cheryl Kelly, and then also spearheaded by our short-term, the committee with the short-term rentals, which is currently no longer in existence, but they had requested to have a survey. So we ended up not only having an STR survey, which was included as part of this, but also the idea to have a community-wide survey, which seemed quite successful as far as we had quite a few people respond, I believe over 60, which is fairly good when you're a city that is like around 309, and that's all the residents, and these are basically by households. So, and we have approximately 225 households within the city. So that was over 25%, probably close to 30%. So Jennifer Hakeman was the lead person in putting the survey together and sending it out. And she's going to make a little presentation about the results.
So we conducted the community survey. Go to the next slide. Thank you. We conducted the community survey beginning in April, and we originally planned to run it through the beginning part of May. We ended up extending it a little bit further to get a wider range of results. The survey included general questions as well as the topic, as Eli explained, regarding short-term rentals. It was a web-based survey that included a QR code, and then we also mailed hard copy surveys to every resident in the city via U.S. Postal Service. The city received a total of 67 responses back, mostly via online, but we received paper copies as well, which were entered into the database as well. We received 11 of those 67 responses were from outside the city residents from the greater Trinidad area, but we kept those responses as part of the survey as well. A couple things we learned from the survey was we did need to extend the deadline to get more responses. We reached out peer-to-peer, one-on-one to try and encourage more people to respond. Another thing we learned was during the survey that it required 2 address lines in the survey, which prompted some people to have some problems, excuse me, completing the survey. So that is a takeaway for next time. And we think that we could get shorter, more frequent surveys may be effective next time in the future. So what you're going to see with each slide is the exact results to each question that was on the survey. This first one is the survey question was overall, how would you rate the quality of life here in Trinidad? And as you can see, most people responded to excellent, good, fair, and poor. For your knowledge, 1 person out of the 67 commented that they feel they have a poor quality of life here in Trinidad. 2 reported that they feel fair, while the remaining people felt that they had an excellent or good quality of life in Trinidad. These were some of the top comments that people felt when we had a follow-up question, which was free form, that they could actually comment what they felt that we could do to improve their quality of life. And these were the top groupings of comments that more than several people commented that they felt like we could do to improve their quality of life, which was pedestrian safety, especially on Edward Street was a very common theme. Traffic calming was needed. People wanted us to enforce the leash laws. Well over 10 people to this question asked that we reinstate the full-time city police force to help address crime and theft. People wanted to see more restaurants. They wanted us to keep the trails open and maintained, and commented that they wanted benches to be added. They wanted to reduce the water plant operational costs and wanted us to be considering Humboldt Bay hookup again. Also the noise abatement issues and light pollution within neighborhoods and public work improvements such as trash cans, bike racks, a playground for kids, and paving the streets again. The common themes when we asked what we could do to improve the quality of your life. What do you value most about living in Trinidad? Some of the questions were the sense of community, natural beauty, access to recreation and trails, the quiet small town feel, rich in cultural indigenous history, and other were some of the questions that were asked. Some of the comments that we got back were very good people live here, the quiet and small town feel, family living, the fantastic school, the access to fishing, and the cultural things like music and art nights people liked. Some of the rooms for improvement that people felt like needed to be noted were vacation rentals have ruined Trinidad and that it's quiet only in the off season were some of the comments that people brought to our attention. We brought up the question of safety and how you would rate your overall sense of safety. Most of the time people felt safe in Trinidad, but as you can see, at times people felt unsafe. And oftentimes there were a small percentage of people who were concerned about their safety in Trinidad. The common theme with that, again, was the increased police presence and the security patrols to reduce crime and the vagrancy, especially nights and weekends. They also talked about the increased traffic controls and pedestrian and bike safety and the enforcement of the leash laws once again. How would you rate your satisfaction with the overall appearance of the city? Most were satisfied. Some were very satisfied, and then some were neutral. Quite a few commented that town hall needs a facelift, which, as you heard Mayor Kelly state, that we have a focus group working on that. Signage was an interesting one. People wanted fewer, better, more uniform look. Some people suggested a general information signboard, and also signage on Trinidad Head. They wanted the benches repaired and painted. Wanted us to address the transient population concerns while providing resources to that population, though, as well was noted. The curb on Edwards where the sandbags have been located, and then the garden area up to where the lighthouse used to be at the intersection of Trinidad and Edwards was noted several times. People are excited for the pickleball court. Are you happy with the quality of entertainment, events, recreation, and educational opportunities in Trinidad? Most stated yes, as you can see. But people did want more family-friendly events that bring Trinidad and the local existing community that lives here together. More festivals and live music, and such as yoga and other activities, and more educational opportunities at the town hall was noted. And are you satisfied with the opportunities to engage and provide input to the city? As you can see, it was kind of a mixed opportunity here. So some of the direct comments here were we are very satisfied with the opportunity to provide input, but we're dissatisfied with the follow through and even acknowledgement or action on what is brought up. So as you can see, we have some areas to improve here as a city. They want a faster response to emails and phone calls. We need to improve on our communication, on our complaint resolution, and better follow through from city administration. So how helpful is the communication you receive from the city? That was definitely in the middle there, with very helpful to somewhat helpful, kind of being in the middle range. So how can our communication be more effective? We need to increase our email communication to residents. Email and text are more effective than snail mail. We need to publish a monthly or quarterly newsletter. Some people wanted us to set up and have there be some sort of an online forum or social presence for residents. Wanted us to add event calendars to the city website or set up an old-fashioned announcement board outside town hall with some of the suggestions that people brought up. What are some improvements you'd like to see in the city? They were given the option to provide 1 to 3, up to 3 suggestions. Pedestrian safety improvements were again at the top of people's lists. Street paving improvements and intersection safety. More activities for families and young children. Increased trail accessibility, keeping trails open, maintained. Manage the transient population while providing resources to the population, and again, leash law enforcement. So here are some actions to address the community feedback that are currently happening within the city right now. So with the Trinidad HSIP Cycle 10 project, we are working on sidewalks, curbs, ramps, signage, pavement striping, markings and crosswalks on Edwards, speed humps, possibly on Ocean and View, and striping on Ocean and View Avenue. We have an animal control contract with Humboldt County Animal Control for leash law enforcement. And we do have signs posted throughout town. We've established an animal advisory committee. For the law enforcement concerns and the dedicated sheriff, we have been in talks with them, but Humboldt County Sheriff has advised that they have no resources available to meet that need for Trinidad. We do have a part-time contract with Pacific Security to provide enhanced security to supplement Humboldt County Sheriff's. The trails, Trinidad Head Trail is open and the step repair is scheduled for August. Parker Creek is open and maintaining. Van Wyck is currently closed because of slide, and the Axel Lindgren Trail is closed, and it's actually on the agenda for tonight for discussion. The water plant operation and concerns there. We're currently actively recruiting a T3 chief plant operator. And the better and more communication from the city, we've invested in a new website as of 2023, and the city will work on publishing a newsletter and increase email communication over the coming months. City improvements, the town hall, Trinidad Town Hall Upgrade Task Force has been established, and the pickleball tennis court upgrades are still planned. And we are investigating in new playground equipment for park area use. And as you heard Eli say, they are working on a meeting to make the school playground situation as well. We also have the STR survey as part of the survey as well. This question was, if you filed a complaint with an STR, did you receive timely follow-up? As you can see, the optional response was a lot of people had not filed complaints. So this question kind of was a mixed bag and didn't really generate the results that we wished that it had. Next slide, please. This question was asking if everyone received the 24-hour emergency contact list that gets mailed out each year with the STR renewals, and most people do receive that in the mail, which we were happy to hear that it with a 24-hour contact information, so they can contact the property managers if they have a problem with the short-term rentals that are located near them. Please. Are you aware of the good neighbor policy for Trinidad STRs? We have some work to do on this one. It was kind of not as clear as we would have liked. Well, there were a lot of people who were aware of it. There were still a decent number of people who were not aware of the good neighbor policy.
There's a little bit of a debate.
And then one of our last questions was asking people if they know and understand economic benefit from STRs in the form of tourist occupancy tax. And most people were aware of that, that brings revenue to the city. So in summary, we have some work to do with the 24-hour emergency contact. Joe, do you have anything else to add?
No, I mean, I think for me, the thing that was really good, what we hope to get out of the community survey was to, you know, kind of cast a wider net and get broader feedback, because we don't always get a lot of people attending city council meetings, and we wanted to hear from more of the community. So for me, I felt like a lot of the things that were brought up were very consistent with what I hear, you know, in my travels, and then also what we hear in here. So that was good. I mean, there were no real big surprises, but I'm interested in, you know, comments or questions from the rest of the council. What you guys think?
No, I thought it was a little bit eye-opening just because there's so many good comments and sort of an endless number of comments as well. So it's going to take a long time to get through things, but there's so many good ideas. And of course, again, I mean, you have to take on some of those things and look at them, but it's going to be tough to get through everything. But I just appreciate being able to look at all the ideas people have. And I think some of the ideas, we're doing some things that are starting, but I think it's really going to be nice if we can begin to pick out things that we can do right away and consider things that we'd like to do. The overwhelming part is that there's so much we really like to do, and some of the things, just with the money we have, and we're so limited in how much we can actually take on and complete. But certainly it's nice to see. I thought there were so many good ideas in here, so I really appreciate it. I wish I would like to see that we could open this up and have people continue to come up with ideas if they would like to, and how we could do that might be something we could do with our web page with the city website.
No, I really liked all the ideas. I'd like to see us, you know, get the low-hanging fruit right away so that the, you know, town can see we're responding. One of the things I really liked was the idea of an information board in front of town hall with a list of the activities for the week, as well as on the website. Yeah, I know I often don't go looking for what's happening, and I only know because somebody tells me on the street. But it would be nice if walking by town hall, there was a list of all the things happening, and that should be, you know, inexpensive and fairly straightforward to keep. So that was one idea I particularly liked.
Yeah, and I should point out that the verbatims are in the packet. So we did a PowerPoint, but there's also the comments that we're referring to are all listed in the packet. Steve, did you?
I just agree with what folks are saying, and I know that in the past, the council has done a goal-setting exercises in front of our annual budget. And I think this is a good sort of addition to that, because it did bring in more response. I mean, we've had 60 responses. We didn't have 60 people at that particular council meeting. So I think it fits nicely with the goals that the city is doing. And I also like that tonight we're discussing some of the things that were part of the comment section, like suggestions. And I think you're right, Katie, if we are able to act on suggestions, perhaps we'll get more suggestions, because we'll be able to show that, that we're able to respond. Jack's point is critical, that, you know, that we can't do certain things, we can't do as quickly as we'd like, but we can at least do some stuff. So I'm encouraged, and I appreciate 60 people taking time out of their day to provide input. I really do.
All right, are there public comments or questions regarding the community survey? Going once? Okay. All right, thank you, Jennifer. That was terrific. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is a discussion decision to appoint 2 council members for a future government-to-government consultation with the Yurok tribe and the Shirai Ancestral Society, or TAS is the acronym. Eli, did you want to cover that for us?
Yes. So the city, in our discussion with our agenda review committee, felt that it would be helpful if we had a consultation with the Yurok tribe and also consultation with the Churai Ancestral Society to specifically talk about trails in the city. So we wanted to have 2 council members appointed that could participate in those meetings along with staff.
Okay, and I actually brought this up because we will be talking, our next agenda item is talking about the Axel Lindgren Memorial Trail, and we've talked about some other trails in the past, and I just thought it might be good for the 2 counselors to meet directly with the Churai Ancestral Society and maybe separately with the Yurok tribe, but we should assign a couple folks so that we could go and have a little bit more detailed discussions and make plans, help move plans forward. So anyway, that was my thought. Are there anyone who wants to be involved in that?
Are you looking at the states to do this? How soon is this going to come up?
We don't have a date. It's more assigning folks and then we'll reach out to see what works. So, it's likely going to be a month or 2 to get that scheduled, I would think, but.
I just spoke for both of us that are going to be leaving. It's going to be tough to
right.
have time for us to, I'd be glad to step in, but
yeah,
it's going to be, it could be very difficult, like how fast these things get done.
Yeah. And as the chair of the Trails Committee, you would be a good person to have in that discussion. So maybe, we can kind of determine the time based on availability a bit. And also, from the standpoint of Taz and the Yurok tribe, it may be a while before they can be available.
Tough time to put this together because there's only 2 people that'll be on for the whole time, but I'll be glad to do it this way.
Yeah.
And I too think that, timing is tough, but we should not let that get in our way. And if anything, perhaps Jack and I could continue with this role, having been in it, and maybe just say, we're here to kind of set it up for the next crew to come in, and because this stuff is really important, and I would love to be part of it if the council agrees.
All right, so let me just ask if there are any public comments or questions. We have it on the table at this point. Mayor Pro Tem Jack West and Councillor Ladwig proposed for this. Okay, I see no public comment. Oh,
hello.
Yes, is that Jackie?
Yes, this is Jackie. Thank you, Mayor Kelly. I fully appreciate and support the council's respect in your diligence to enter into government to government consultation with all tribes within, the area is very important. The only thing I want to point out is the outcomes from consultation from those G2G meetings should be reported back out as per your consultation policy. And, the items that are regarding the trails that are of specific interest to Trinidad Rancheria, just want to reiterate that information needs to come back to a public meeting. And Trinidad Rancheria, requests ongoing government to government consultation with the city, and we do that. But I think it's very important that we're made aware of requests and opportunities as well. And just don't want that communication to not come back to the tribe or to the city council so that we can be aware of it. As you know, the management team, we're not part of the management team at this point. So we need that communication to ensure that City of Trinidad Tribal Council and tribe is aware of any plans that might be being made and that the input is able to be shared.
Yes, that's a very good point. Thank you for reminding us of that. And the counselors who attend will bring back the information. The only thing I think that is not reported publicly, and, correct me if I'm wrong, staff, is any detailed cultural assets that are discussed, or those are requested to be confidential. So, but other than that, yes, we should report out. Thank you, Jackie.
One clarification, if I could, Mayor, before you move on. The items of cultural significance have to do with burials, and I think it's very important that the trails themselves, that information should not be held in confidence unless it has to do with repatriation and burials within those trails.
Okay. I don't know the rules quite that well, so I'm looking to staff and they're nodding. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Makes good sense. Okay.
Hi, this is Sarah from the Tri Ancestral Society.
Yes.
Hi. I just wanted to bring up, because I don't know that we were aware that there was just continuous ongoing government to government meetings with the Rancheria or anyone else. And are those getting public notices? Because I haven't seen those being reported out, or public notices for ongoing meetings. I thought that they were project specific. So I'm just kind of curious about clarifying that for myself. Thank you.
Yeah, that's correct. And they are project specific. We go ahead and we find out whenever there is a request for a meeting, then we go ahead and request from the council to have 2 representatives. And then we go ahead and have that meeting. And the reason is to avoid the Brown Act violation of having a standing committee. So we can't have a standing committee, but we can have a specific ad hoc committee with a particular topic area or series of topics, and then appoint the council members accordingly.
Hi, this is Kelly Lindgren with the Tri Ancestral Society. I know at the last city council meeting, Cheryl Kelly reported out that there was nothing to report from the G2G meeting with the Rancheria. So if Jackie's asking for things to be reported out from these upcoming meetings, why isn't there anything being reported out from their meetings?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I did say that, and I apologize. I did not know that we were supposed to report publicly from a G2G. No one corrected me in the moment, so I will take an action to go through my notes and report out at the next city council meeting. The next city council meeting that I attend, and I apologize for that. That was a miss on my part.
And thank you for that. Also, there is no where it is posted online to see when these meetings occur. There's no minutes, and so that needs to be included. Thank you.
Yes, so we need to get those on the calendar, and we will do so. Thank you. Okay, I am going to go ahead then, and I guess I will make a motion that Steve Ladwig and Jack West are appointed for the next G2G discussions with the Yurok tribe and Taz. Those are to be scheduled, and then with the caveats that we just described in terms of report out. Is there a second?
No, a second.
All right, and Katie seconds.
I was just gonna ask if, well, I mean, it's not part of the motion, so I'll wait. Sorry, I just want, if you could call me, please don't email me, it'll get lost. So for scheduling, I know it's a real challenge to schedule. Please just call me and I'll look at my calendar. I don't mean to be a pain, but
All right, so
it could take years if I wait for my email to
Okay.
get read.
all right, so staff will know to call Steve as well. So with that, all those in favor? Aye. Aye, okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. And we'll,
I have a question.
Yeah.
Am I understanding correctly? When there are G2G meetings, they are project specific. So like whatever this project is that Steve and Jack are going to attend, that'll be, when that's done, their appointment to the G2G is over, and the next project that is G to G, there'll be two more. Is that right? How it goes?
That's, I believe, how we've been.
Yes,
doing
that's
it.
correct.
Sometimes for consistency, we've chosen the same counselors if the topic hasn't changed a lot. But yeah, generally, we've just
Thank you.
appointed two people and they have been more either project or topic specific, as opposed to like a monthly meeting, for example.
Yeah.
And I apologize. I thought because it was G to G, there was not a report out. So I will, stand corrected. Okay,
And
all right.
Mayor
Thank
Kelly.
you.
Yeah, so thank you.
Sorry, Eli, did you want to add something?
Yeah, this is off regarding the agenda. We have two representatives from Humboldt Sanitation present for agenda item number 5, which I think shouldn't take too long versus the other agenda items 3 and 4, I think will be longer. So I'm just wondering if the council would entertain possibly moving agenda item 5 now and then continue with the others.
Yeah, I'm interested also in Atlas Shirai Ancestral Society on for the next topic, item number 3 as well. So I wouldn't want to lose them. So Sarah and Kelly, are you available to if we add another 5 minutes or so to the agenda?
I am, yes.
Okay, all right. I really appreciate it. It's kind of a moving target to figure out the timing on our agenda items. So, but I really appreciate you guys joining us for that discussion. Okay, so do we need to make a motion then to?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll move that we move 5 to 3.
Okay.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, go ahead, Eli. We'll go ahead and move to that.
Okay. So Humboldt Sanitation has been providing the waste collection and recycling services to the city for a number of years, well before the last contract, which was signed in the year 2014. In that contract, it allows for a 5-year extension, and the request now, since it is 2024 and that contract is ending, that we would go ahead and extend it to the year 2029. And then the suggestion by staff is approve the First Amendment to the franchise agreement for solid waste and recyclable materials collection services in the city of Trinidad. And we had our city attorney review both documents, and which would be the First Amendment, and then also to make sure with the existing franchise agreement, which was not done with the current city attorney. He had reviewed that and made sure that applicable sections were included in the amendments. And then representatives are here in case you need it. Have any questions?
Answer questions. Okay. Are there any questions or comments from the council? I mean, I think it's good to get our garbage picked up, so I think that's a good thing. Bear-proof canisters might be good, but any comments or questions from the public regarding Humboldt Sanitation contract extension? All right, I'll bring it back to the council then. Is there a motion?
I'll move that we accept the amendment to the franchise agreement for solid waste and recyclable materials collection in the city of Trinidad.
All right.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. That was expeditious. Thank you, Humboldt Sanitation, for joining us. Really appreciate it. Oh, is that you?
Can I make
Thanks for
one
joining
comment?
us.
Just like to make one comment. Whenever I call sanitation, you guys are the nicest people. Always so pleasant and helpful. Thank you. I will pass that on for staff.
All right, so with that, we will go back to item number 3, and that is the discussion decision on an appeal of the Planning Commission's denial of the Coastal Development Permit 2024-09 for continued temporary closure of the Axel Lindgren Memorial Trail due to unsafe conditions Trail closure authorization is proposed for 1 year while the city works with stakeholders to develop and plan additional repair options. And this is located at ALMT APN 042091005. And am I turning this over to Trevor?
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay.
Sure.
Bring it over to someone.
Yeah,
Give us
yeah.
on staff to give us the background. And then, as I mentioned before, we do have Kelly and Sarah Lindgren, both from the Shry Ancestral Society. And so after staff, I would like to have them make a few comments for the public as well.
Yes, so we can turn it over to Trevor, our city planner. But I did want to note that, on a staff level, we wanted to look at this from two aspects, of course. One aspect is the short-term improvements. The other aspect is the long-term improvements. And we know the long-term improvements will take a while and will take some grant funding. But hopefully the short-term improvements can be done with city funds. And as a result, even if we do throw out a particular time period, the intent is to mobilize our resources, meaning with the engineering and city engineer, and drawing up plans and then getting something in place as soon as practical. Because we would like eventually to have the trail open, when the weather is good, at any time that we can from now until next year. I'll turn it over to Trevor.
Eli, so just a little bit of background. Probably most of you are aware it was February 2023 after significant erosion on the left. The Ancestral Society requested they close the trails and do some restoration, erosion control to protect those sensitive areas. And some of those actions have been completed. The Axel Lindgren Trail remains closed. We were hoping to find some short-term repair options that has not yet come to fruition. And I know it's frustrating. I'm sure there's been frustration on both sides. Things don't always move as fast as we hope. But I can assure you that there is progress being made, and I think especially in the last few months, we've made some good progress, and I think we have a real plan in place, at least a plan for a plan anyway. So staff is requesting continued closure of the Axel Lindgren Memorial Trail. It does require a coastal development permit, so that's why the Planning Commission acted on it. Because conditions have changed somewhat, I brought a new coastal development permit to the Planning Commission, also open it up to appeals and this kind of public discussion and renoticing. So I did do that intentionally because I know the Planning Commission is also frustrated with the extending closures. Staff would strongly recommend that you don't, allow the trail to reopen at this time. There is about a 10 to 12 foot almost vertical drop at the base of the trail, and it's unvegetated. It's got the erosion control jeep matting that's still there, and people trying to scramble up and down that. A liability for the city. It's a public safety issue, and it would probably cause additional erosion. So, I think at this point we don't have a lot of choices. I do understand the city's insurance agent representative will be up here in September, and we'll take a closer look and give us some additional advice. City's liability, but we're coming up on the winter season anyway soon. So I think that's a good time to plan a repair. I think one of the things that we've realized, so the Ancestral Society had been working on a plan under a grant for some significant improvements to the trail, and that includes rerouting the bottom about 100 feet to the traditional alignment of the trail. So at this point, they would not support any improvements to the existing alignment. And one of the things that's an important factor here is that under the city zoning ordinance and general plan policy 69, there can be no soil disturbance or vegetation removal without their approval. So that's something to keep in mind. We can't just go ahead with the short-term repair at this point. So what we're looking at is trying to do some short-term improvements on the realignment to the traditional path. And there's been some difficulties because of the thick vegetation and trying to get access to that area. We do have a proposal from RCAA, who's also doing the Trinidad Head Trail, to go down and remove vegetation along that alignment. I am bringing that for a coastal development permit to the Planning Commission next week. Notice I got posted on the trail today. And then that will also involve a barrier at the bottom, like is at the existing bottom, to keep people from trying up. So it's a little bit more complicated than we thought, again, because of the erosion and the traditional access to the beach. There's been erosion there, and so it's not going to be as simple and easy as we had hoped. But we have to get the vegetation cleared just so that we can see the conditions and so that's the plan. It is in progress. I think in terms of the planning commission discussion, I see a number of them here tonight. I think again they're frustrated with the lack of progress, and I think especially frustrated with their they're not really in a position to do much about it. And so I think one of the purposes of their vote was to get this before the council and to get this in your hands, because you have that power with the directing staff and directing funding and to get this done. So so they did vote to deny it, recognizing that staff was going to recommend an appeal of this decision. So we did recommend that to the city council. Mayor Kelly did appeal it without taking sides on the issue. And so it is before you today. We do, again, we're saying a year. Hopefully it wouldn't be that long, but just over the winter to plan a repair, and then once the weather gets better in the springtime, hopefully implement that repair is what the plan is. We do have a condition on there that we would provide monthly updates to both the Planning Commission and the City Council while this is ongoing. So at this point, staff is recommending that you uphold the appeal and reverse the Planning Commission's decision and approve continued closure of the trail at this time for a year, up to another year.
All right, any questions from the council to Trevor before I ask for comments from the Tri-Ancestral Society as well?
Trevor, you said that you need to get the vegetation cleared to some extent so that you can actually see if rerouting, is that the idea of rerouting the toe is possible?
Yeah, and I think, the main thing is going to be that the transition from the bluff to the beach, because there's been so much erosion. And so the traditional path exited the bluff and onto the beach on a rock, but that rock has been separated from the bluff. But the vegetation's so thick, we can't really see how the slope and things align. And so we just need to get that cleared so we can design.
And is this clearing acceptable to Taz?
Yes, we met just before the last Planning Commission meeting. They are fully in support of getting the new or the realignment, the traditional alignment open. So yes, thank you.
Right, and I just want to note that, although Trevor was mentioning a year, I think, 9 months will be more than sufficient, which would take us to May. Because ideally, we can have it done by May for sure. And if we can have it done earlier, I would like to see it done earlier. But at least I think 9 months would be sufficient.
All right, I'd like to, at this point, if the Sharia Ancestral Society, I think they'd love to hear directly from you and your thoughts on the trail.
Hi, thank you so much. So this is Sarah again from the Tri Ancestral Society. Yeah, so we obtained a grant for a conceptual redesign, which would be long-term plan for the trail to increase its longevity, be able to minimize erosion, and make it a trail that the community can be proud of again, which is something that it's been lacking for quite some time now. It's been in some pretty significant disrepair, not just at the bottom, but the entire trail. And so, we really would like to work towards that long-term goal, but we do understand that, we've got to continue to work towards a short-term goal of making the trail usable again, which is something that, we want to see as well. And so we contacted RCAA this year at the spring of this year, and went out with Trevor, or no, I'm sorry, I don't know if Trevor was there the second time. We went out a couple of times to do some site visits with city staff. And the last time we went out was in about May, and they were able to go and actually walk the traditional path at the bottom that would give us that realignment to more stable ground than the route that has been in existence since 1997. So the RCAA was able to provide us at the end of May an estimate for that work. It's pretty reasonable cost, and we are set to do it. The only thing we're missing is just the funding. And so if we can get that RCAA's work funded, then we can get that part of the project moving forward. There is still some planning and discussion about connecting the toe of the bluff to the beach and doing it safely. The long-term plan takes care of it, but it's how to make the transition from short-term to long-term without creating more instability of the bluff there. And from an outside perspective, I'm sure it's looking at it, you're like, well, we could just get some hand tools, we can move some rocks, we can put kind of that ladder system that was there before and be done with it. But unfortunately, this is a sensitive area. This is a traditional path. So we're trying to go at it in a thoughtful way to preserve that historical component. This is a state historic site, and we're trying to just restore it the best we can, and we're trying to do it in a timely manner. And honestly, the thing that is slowing everything down is not the lack of a plan or a lack of meeting and deciding what's happening. It's just really a lack of funding. So if the city can dedicate funding towards this trail, and then, we've talked with city staff and are working with city staff on looking for grants to implement the long-term goal. And, as long as we have time to do those things, we're hoping to get this trail up and running in a permanent way for everyone to enjoy. So I think at this time, though, asking for a year, will it take that long? As long as we get funding, I think it could be done a lot quicker. But that's really up to how the city wants to go about funding the project.
All right, thank you. Eli wants to add something, and then I'll ask the council if they have a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that the cost for the vegetation removal is $4,674, which the city can take care of. So we can do that. The other question is getting people safely down to the beach, and it may entail some kind of a step or sectional or whatever, or possibly what you saw with College Cove but something. And once we establish what that cost is, then we'll see if we can find some funding for it.
Yeah, I really think it's, so from what I understand, moving the trail back to the traditional path is where it was back in the 90s. And there's no good reason not to do that because we have to fix it anyway. But yes, I'll disclose that I did walk down there earlier today. I'll also just, and looked at, I'm not an engineer, but I looked at it and it did seem to me like there might be an option for putting something behind the boulder that would help bring the trail that last bit down from the bluff to the beach. But I appreciate the fact that the Shrine Ancestral Society has obtained a grant, and while we may not have seen all the work that was going on behind the scenes, and I think that's why the public has been concerned, while we might not have seen the work, there is actually work being done, and there is a plan. There is a 38-page plan that has been produced and will be made public. If it has not been, I'll disclose that I've seen it as of yesterday. So I think that's it's real, and there's real plans in the works and so forth. So I just wanted to mention that and make that comment about what Taz has just presented. But are there questions or comments from the council for Sarah or Kelly?
I just want to thank Sarah for letting us know what she's doing, and I think this is great that we're kind of all on board and everybody's working in the right direction. So thank you for bringing that up and letting us know what you're doing. It's great to hear we're going in the right direction.
Yeah. Any other comments? All right. I noticed, let me go to the public, and I noticed, Jackie, you had your hand raised, so I'm going to go to you first.
Thank you, Mayor. I apologize because it was really hard to hear Trevor on my laptop. And so I may be asking questions that she's already addressed. So apologies ahead of time, Trevor. But I'm wondering where the public process is in creating the design and engineering. There will be ground disturbance. And I'm wondering if there is an opportunity, or is it a categorical exclusion? Is it, what type of environmental document will this require? And at what point will public input be taken?
Good questions. For just this vegetation removal, to get a better view of the site, and we're looking at a categorical exemption, yes. In terms of, larger repairs and improvements, that will come later once we get to see the site, but this will be on the agenda at next week's planning commission meeting. And the Rancheria is on the list of those that need to give approval, so we will be looking for that for this vegetation removal, but this isn't for public access. This permit.
Trevor, I heard the Rancheria will, and then it cut out.
We will be reaching out to the Rancheria because that coastal development permit will require approval from the Rancheria, so we will be reaching out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
All right, I would like at this point to open to public comment with a reminder that we are a local community and we all know one another, and we like to keep things respectful and productive. So with that, I will open to public comments. Please, Tom.
Okay, once again, so I like the idea that the trail is going to be rerouted to a traditional route. I'd like to my support for that. But I find it's ironic that we're discussing the CDP for the trail closure when it's been kind of past practice for the city to closed trails without a CDP. Now the CDP is being kind of weaponized, which I've also seen some other people take the same thought process. It just keeps on being, this is the way we can keep it closed. Got other things happening in town that don't have CDPs that affect coastal access, such as a green stripe on a curb, which still hasn't been addressed. And to my knowledge, when I hear things like we've been working behind the scenes, I think that's what's developed into community animosity. This is a public institution here, and working behind the scenes doesn't cut it when it comes to filling in the citizenry on what is going to be done. Sounds like, from what I've heard tonight, that there have been plans made, there have been things discussed, and I am unaware of any of that ever being made public. Other than the fact that multiple times public has been told that this trail will be open. While all this is happening with this, Wagner Street Trail is being pushed off of its traditional line by property owners, vegetation, and tree trimmings. And also the city was to have a survey done while I was on the city council over 3 years ago, most likely, to determine where that property line is. And if you get on and walk that, you will notice that it is just being pushed way out of its traditional line. So there's another issue of a trail in this same area. One more thing I'd like to, I'm not trying to criticize anybody or think that you were doing something wrong, but I noticed an email in the packet from you, Cheryl, that was addressed to every member of the city council.
Yeah.
And I'm not seeing any response in the packet, which I'm hoping indicates that there wasn't any response to that email, because that would indicate a serial meeting happening via email. And as we all know, that's a violation. And I would hope that that didn't happen, so that we're not already having a decision that's been made behind the scenes for this happen.
Yes, so I will confirm there was no response to that email.
I just wanted to.
And that's it.
Throw these things out, and then as soon as people start responding, then we, you know.
Yeah.
And that goes along with the transparency of, you know, what has been discussed.
Yeah.
Has been decided upon. One question I have is I've heard that the Sarai Ancestral Society gained a grant. We're also looking for funding to repair the trail, so I'm kind of curious as to what the grant pays for, maybe just planning how the city and the Ancestral Society are going to work together.
Okay, yeah, so we can answer. I'd like to make one comment about the behind the scenes. I think that's an unfortunate use of words that I chose. And I would say that the Tri management team has been meeting, and I want to make it clear that the council has not been a part of that. So the Tri management team has been meeting, so it's been a staff level discussion on the Tri management team. And I'll be transparent in saying that I have asked for those meetings to be made public. Over the past year, the council has not been involved. I know the planning commission has perhaps been under the impression that the council has been attending some of those meetings, and we have not. So I also wanted to let them know that. So staff felt that they would have more, make more progress and be able to work with the Tri Ancestral Society and the other members of the TMT. And they would make really good progress doing it that way. The plans that have been developed have not been made public, and I did not see them until yesterday. So now, and I'll check with all parties to make sure, but those should then would now be made public because they came to me essentially with some redaction for new cultural assets. I'll note as Jackie had mentioned, it has to be specific cultural assets, but those would be removed, of course. And so, I feel like the council wants to be very transparent. It's why I appealed the decision. I wanted to get it at this level so we could just really have a good discussion. And I do really appreciate Taz being here for this and the Rancheria as well. So Eli, do you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, well, I mean, I could add, from my understanding, the funding that the Churai Ancestral Society has received is intended for the long-term plan. So we're trying to address the short-term opening. And then as far as the Churai management team meetings, what we've been doing is we've been meeting and discussing items that deal with cultural significance. And we've indicated that we would like to have the meetings open whenever there are issues being discussed that do not deal with cultural significance.
Thank you for clarifying that management team meetings that are occurring without city council, because when you said it would happen just as recent as 2 weeks ago, see a notice for that, so that would explain that. And I think that's all I needed to say.
And if I could just comment first, I really appreciate you starting this with, it's great that we're returning the trail to its traditional route. Obviously, it was more sustainable at that old route. I can confirm I have not responded to any emails. I've not been to any TMT meeting. I know I'm only one of 5, but definitely want to support your interest in maintaining transparency. And I've not been part of anything. So
yeah, thanks.
I imagine the other counselors could say the same, but just for me.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Let's see. Any other? Thank you. They're pointing to the screen as someone raising their hand. Oh, Sarah, did you want to add something?
I did. I wanted to answer a couple of those questions as well. So I appreciate the comments and I appreciate the support of returning the trail to the traditional path. And, it is our hope that it is more sustainable and that, it can be in use for a very long time without having to face some of the difficulties that the trail has faced in the direction that it's going now. But as far as the Churai management team kind of being like a secret group or something, it was always the city manager has always reported out. And that is something that, we have talked about and we have encouraged. So really, just like any other committee, the management team meetings should be being reported back out in the staff reports. And I know that they used to be, I haven't paid that close of attention to, if they're being reported out now, but it sounds like maybe that would ease some of the concerns. Obviously, there's a lot of discussion that happens that the public shouldn't be privy to just because of the nature of, the place that we're in. But as far as like trail planning and that kind of thing goes, the Churai Ancestral Society applied for and received a grant for a conceptual design. And we spent the grant money on the conceptual design that we took to, we did not bring it to the Churai management team until, here very recently, we shared it with city staff. But we had originally taken it to the Yurok tribe to see if it would even be possible to get funding and to implement the project. And so, the Yurok tribe has had it for a decently long time and unfortunately didn't make any forward progress with it. And so that is when we then brought it to the city. And then we are now making the document public because we do want input. Our intention has never been to kind of circumvent the public in this or, avoid feedback. First, we wanted to get a little further along in the process and make sure that it was something that was doable, something that we could get funding for and that, we could see come to fruition before we brought it to the public. So, now we are working with city staff. We are hopeful that we can make this happen. And, we are going to move along through the normal planning processes of bringing it to the public, getting feedback from the public, and making this a community project, because it is going to affect the city. It's going to affect, everyone who likes to enjoy that traditional trail, right? So, that's our goal. That was our intention. Things got a little wacky, but we're back on track now. And we do want to continue to, make this a public process. So unfortunately, the management team meetings, just because of what gets discussed in there that is protected, those aren't open to the public. And, that is currently in a lawsuit. The city can talk to their attorney about, what is and isn't allowed to be reported out, because he's been very clear about that. So, but as much as we can share with the public, we definitely would like to. So thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And it's a really good point. There were reports in the staff reports. I think a lot of the reporting was in the planning commission. And so the council may not be as familiar. Although we do watch, many of us read the planning commission packets and we go to the meetings occasionally and watch their video, but yeah, really good point that the staff has been reporting out on the progress. I think the community will be really excited to see the kind of preliminary plans that you've had developed. I think that makes it real. A picture is worth 1,000 words, and I think that will really make it real. And I think the community will be very supportive of the direction that you're all heading. So, other public comments regarding this project, please.
I'm Tristan Cole. I guess the report from Trevor and from Sarah is all very encouraging. But I'm maybe forever skeptical, but continue to be skeptical because we have received the planning commission a lot of really encouraging reports from the city staff and from the TMT saying, oh yeah, we're going to have the trail reopened by Memorial Day.
Yeah,
July 4th, whatever, and that keeps just not coming to fruition, and there keeps being another bump in the road, whatever you want to say. And I know there's been a lot of talk, so I guess I'm a little bit wary of this positive news, and that just by granting an extension of the closure, it sort of just like gives city staff, TMT, TAS sort of a sigh of relief, and they can just go back to hoping to getting a plan together. So I guess I would like the city council to somehow put a little bit more teeth in this to make it's like have some accountability, I guess, because I just feel like there's been a lot of sort of hollow promises about getting the trail temporarily reopened. And then with regard to this report that is forthcoming, my impression is that report is a study on long-term solution to the trail. And the planning commission has been asking, pleading, begging for a short-term solution. And like the report is very important. I think, like Sarah said, the community is going to be stoked to see what it looks like. And everyone is in support of that. But we really want a short-term reopening, temporary reopening of the trail so people can use the trail this summer, not, I mean, I don't know what this project looks like, but it's probably a many years long project. So I just really encourage the council to just make there be some accountability on behalf of parts of all things.
Thank you, Tristan. We'll come back to a couple of those points, I think, on the council. Other public comments?
Sorry, I don't mean to go again, but I would just like to remind council that there is an estimate for work from RCAA to reopen the trail. And the only thing standing in the way of that being implemented is funding. So I understand, the frustration of feeling like there was some kind of empty promise, but honestly, it's just boiled down to, we city staff and the management team have had that estimate since May. I think it was May 20th that it was sent out to the management team, and it's just literally funding that's under $5,000. So, there's work that can be going on right now if the city can fund it. And then, Steve Allen has been in discussion with the Tri-Ancestral Society about, simple solutions for the toe of the bluff. And when he gets back from vacation after, I think it was the 26th, then we have asked him if he could come up with an estimate for that. So, I understand the frustrations, but we really do there's been site visits, there's been a plan, and there is an estimate. So it's just about, kind of writing that check at this point. So I appreciate the comment though. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you. And you did point out, Sarah, that the plans that you were working on were the longer term plans, which are very robust. And, I think that the public will like to see them and they will be positively received. And I just want a point of clarification, and then Richard, I would like to hear what you think. But Eli, the RCAA, I believe we just said a little while ago that the city was willing to fund that. I just wanted to confirm because Sarah may not have heard that through the Zoom, but the city will fund that now. But we just decided that, right?
Yeah. And as soon as they had presented, actually, which was under our consent agenda. As soon as RCAA had presented about the Trinidad Head Trail steps, RCAA says we need a contract. So then we contacted the Mitchell Law Firm and they said we need to get a conflict of interest waiver disclosure because they represent both entities.
Okay.
So what I'm noting here, and maybe I would suggest possibly revisiting it, after we finish this item, or at least towards the end, was the consent agenda conflict of interest waiver disclosure for Mitchell Law Firm between the City of Trinidad and RCAA for the Trinidad Head Trail Repair Project to say that we want it also for the Axel Ingram Memorial Trail. So they can prepare the contract for that. So
yeah, we can
have to bring it back
and go. So we'll go back and so that's just a little housekeeping, Sarah, that we need to do. And I just want to clarify one more thing. I'm sorry, Richard, but at the RCAA, this work that we're doing is clearing the traditional path from vegetation, but it doesn't actually create the short-term trail. That would be the next step, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Is that correct? Okay.
When we originally got the proposal from RCA, we were hoping that was the short-term solution. But Steve Allen and Eli went and took a closer look at the base of the bluff, and it's Steve's opinion that more is going to be needed at the base. So the proposal from RCAA is enough to get people from the existing trail to where it drops off on the bluff, but we still need to figure out the way to get
the last mile, basically. Yeah,
For the short term. That's for the short
that's the short term. And does that include steps on that vegetation remove portion, or there are no steps needed, kind of thing?
No, the vegetation doesn't have the steps included. However, once they clear the vegetation and can see what the trail looks like, both our city engineer and RCAA have indicated that there is a wet area where some water goes across and may need some kind of a footbridge. So that will need to be
Right,
assessed.
the little stream.
Right.
there, yeah. Richard, go ahead. I have a couple more things, but I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Absolutely, no problem. In fact, I appreciate this discussion. I just wanted to make a couple of comments. First of all, I wanted to just draw your attention, if you haven't already, to the letter that was written by our chair that's in the public comments. And I think that is a pretty good summary of what we have been working the past year and a half. And as you can, well, you can't tell, but the four planning commissioners that were able to attend tonight, Aaron is fighting a fire somewhere, so he can't be here, but the other four are here. And you've already heard from Tristan, and perhaps the other members of the commission would like to speak as well. First of all, I want to just reemphasize that throughout this whole process, we have really appreciated the effort that staff has put into this. I recognize that this is something that is very complicated and yet very simple. And what I mean by that is that there's a lot of moving parts to it, a lot of organizations, different entities that are involved. But from a simplicity standpoint, all we're asking for is to get a trail down to the beach. You know, so it's very kind of a convoluted issue. Just in summary, with respect to why we decided not to approve the CDP for extension was a somewhat of a feeling of frustration in that while we have certain authority and certain accountability and certain tasks that we can perform, there's nothing that we can do in this case where the city council has the wherewithal to be able to provide the resources and the actions to make this happen. And so our intent was to hopefully raise it to the city council level, bring it to the public in a more public arena than perhaps that we would be able to do at the planning commission level, and really try to use the expression, some fire under this thing and get it going. And I think we all recognize that it is like I said, a project that has a lot of moving parts, a lot of entities in it. But it's very important that we stay focused on it, and we really felt that we needed to make a statement in bringing this to the council with the intent of getting as much council support, city support as possible so that we can make this thing happen as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments or any other planning commissioners who would like to speak? All right, seeing none, I'd like to bring it back to the council. I just wanted to mention one thing, and then I want to open it to the council to discuss. I just disclosed that I spent some time this morning walking down the College Cove Trail, and also spent some time on Old Home Beach looking at the toe of the Axel Lindgren Memorial Trail. And I think, you know, I'm not an engineer, but I think we should have someone who is look at the College Cove toe. And thank you, by the way, Anita Thompson, one of our residents, recommended this in the letter that she sent to the council. There's a methodology that they've used, and I've reached out to the California State Parks person who has supervised the project, and hopefully we'll hear from her in the next few days. And we could see if maybe that would be something that would work, and that, you know, Taz also would be comfortable with, or the Tri management team would be comfortable with, that it's not invasive, you know, not a lot of digging and so forth. So that would, I guess, speak to a potential short-term plan. So my proposal would be that we set some milestones for accountability, including a short-term plan, and that the short-term plan include the RCAA brush removal plus maybe some sort of re-engineering of the toe that is non-invasive and, you know, not a lot of digging and all that kind of stuff, but behind the boulder where it could be potentially protected from wave action. So I just wanted to mention that I've had a few of those conversations today, so that I'll just close that. So anyway. So what do you guys think after hearing the information?
No, still, I get a little, I think I'm clear and then I get confused between short-term and long-term.
Right.
And vegetation removal, which seems to apply to each short-term and long-term.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm hoping I'll get clearer as we talk about it.
Yeah, Trevor, yeah, I could jump in, but I think you'd be the best person to kind of describe maybe the short-term versus long-term scenarios in.
Yeah, I mean, for the short term, what we're looking for is kind of the minimum necessary to get people safely to the beach. I mean, that's kind of the bottom line. And so, vegetation removal, some sort of, we talked about, kind of simple planks for the crossing of the wet areas. I think that is very doable. It's a little bit harder at the toe of the slope. But it's not, I don't think it's a unique problem. I think there are people around here, obviously, who deal with these kind of unstable trails and erosion on beaches and things like that. So, yeah, I think once we can actually see what it looks like, and a short-term solution might be something that is removed during the winter. So, we do have to think about that. The long-term solution is more of a permanent raised boardwalk kind of, that will, protect the resources and the public on the trail and reduce maintenance. So yeah, so for right now, we're just looking at the minimum necessary to get people safely to the beach.
Doctors, do you have anything you want to add?
Appreciate all the conversations. I think a lot of us really seeing what can be done. And it's really nice to see we're working together. So thank you all. I would love to see this opened. And one of the things that I really can appreciate is getting some kind of a monthly update that we regularly are getting information so we all can hear what's going on and know that we're not just, that it's not getting pushed aside, that we're hearing every month at our meetings that such and such has happened, that we see what the plans are, and so that we're looking at these plans so we can be satisfied. I just want to be satisfied that things are going on. I can hear that frustration. And I think if we are continually hearing about these things, that would be helpful, and also that we are not looking at a year down the road to get this open, that we're looking at it as soon as possible, as soon as they can put this together, that we can get started. So I see this as a real positive push to get this done and kind of work together as all these groups working together will really be good for the city and the community.
I mean, I don't have anything to add that's better than what has already been said. So I would look to you to make a motion, only because my head is kind of swimming with all the different things that have been said.
Yeah.
But I definitely support the planning commission's effort to, in essence, have some action on this. So
Okay.
I want to follow that. I guess I want to follow that lead.
I'm gonna add a couple of quick things, and then I noticed Jackie has her hands up, so I'm gonna go back to public comment for a sec because I missed that. I apologize, but I think what I hear from the planning commission is a sense of frustration that I don't want, for example, Taz, Sarah and Kelly to feel like that's directed at them. I feel like that's directed at us.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, so I just want to kind of make that clear that it's directed at us, and that what I'm hearing from the planning commission is we need to have some accountability and some milestones, and that the council needs to be accountable as well. And so I think we need some milestones. We talked about short-term versus long-term. We also talked about money, and we've kind of, set that aside for just a second, but I think there is a future discussion about grants and what progress we're making, working in partnership with the Tri management team to get grants to cover some of this work. And I also wanted to just mention that it's consistent, what we've been talking about tonight, rerouting the trail, is consistent with the Shoreline Management Plan. So that document, the 200-page, document, all of this is in there. So anyway, so I just wanted to mention a few things, and then Jackie, let me get your comments.
Can I weigh in real quick on the budget part?
Yes.
Jackie.
Sorry, one more second.
Well, just that I believe, and we either have $20,000 or $30,000 accumulated in the trail effort. Can you remind me?
Yeah.
That the council set aside 10 grand a year. I know the Trinidad Head did not come to a very large amount of money to repair. What's our approximate balance in that fund, if you will?
Yeah, it's, again, I would just say it's probably close to 30,000.
Yeah.
But we haven't, of course, spent for the Trinidad Head, which will be like about 11,000. But we do have some additional funding that's available that we could utilize and put towards this effort.
And the reason I ask is because RCAA, I think that's the right acronym, came in at a much lower cost than I was expecting for this sort of thing. So I would at least say that the city could commit, continue to commit our $10,000 a year trail fund to this. And so that's a discussion item I think all of us should keep in the back of our head. Instead of just like, gee, let's hope the grant folks who are really talented solve this. We also have about $30,000 set aside for this sort of thing. So anyway, I just wanted to make
Yeah,
sure
that
folks
definitely,
remember
that's a
that.
good point,
Yeah.
especially for the short-term project, that
Yeah.
would help. The longer one, longer term, I think is significantly higher.
Sure.
But Jackie, did you want to make your comment?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. On behalf of Trinidad Rancheria Tribal Council, we do respectfully request government-to-government consultation on this project, both short-term and long-term, formally. I have Vice Chair Robert Hempstead on the Zoom call, as well as Councilman James Brown, and they've asked me to put forward this request. The issue is the lack of communication. Communication is siloed. Over and over, Trinidad Rancheria has requested updates on anything to do with the Axel Lindgren Trail. We have not been kept informed. We are happy to attend the Planning Commission meeting next week and gain additional information. And I know, Mayor, you said you just now saw the plans, so I understand that. But our request over and over again over the last several years is for what's happening at the tribe management team that does not involve the burial and the confidential information to come back to Trinidad Rancheria. And that request just seems to fall on deaf ears. And so we don't understand why and what the problem is. Maybe it has to do with the sensitivity overall, but there's no reason why communication couldn't flow freely, and then we wouldn't have to pause and request government-to-government consultation because we don't have the adequate information for our tribal council to respond. So really, excuse me, I really appreciate the complexity. I appreciate everyone's efforts. I know the goal, the short-term and the long-term goal is to open the trail. We support that. However, there's a lack of communication, a lack of coordination, a lack of consultation that we continually bring back to your city council. So thank you. We'll submit a formal request, but have to pause and ask for consultation on this. Thank you.
Any comments from staff? I'll just say that I think we can do better. We will do better. So anything anyone wants to add on that, or okay. All right, I am going to look through here and see what motion we want to make. I think what we want to do, what page is it on, Trevor? I'm trying to scroll through here.
124.
I don't know what pack.
Sorry, 124.
I'm on 124 on mine. I'm sure if that's the same. I have it in front of me if you'd like me to try to take it.
Go for it.
Yeah,
Okay, that's, would like to move that we continue the temporary closure of the Axville Lindgren Memorial Trail due to unsafe conditions. The trail closure is proposed for 1 year while the city works on the stakeholders to develop and plan additional route options.
Could I suggest an amendment or an addition? That there be 3 months, every 3 months or a 6-month check-in, and that action be recommended if sufficient progress has not taken place. Something along those lines.
Yeah, I would actually like to, if I'm going to add something to that, I said I'd like to have monthly reports through the city council. So, and then I like that idea of, if we're not seeing progress, how to put this all together. Getting kind of wordy here, but if we're not seeing progress, that we can take some kind of action as a council.
We can reassess our motion.
Yes, I think that's a crazy motion. How am I doing?
And I'm just gonna say, I'd like it to be in writing too, that we commit trail money to this project.
Got a lot to say.
I mean, those are the key elements that keep coming up.
Just
Monthly check-in.
yeah, and the monthly check-ins, I mean, it's milestones, right? It's like,
Yes.
we're checking for accountability on specific things. So I guess we're asking for a plan, like a
That's what I
project.
see what Gabe's got. Gabe,
Before Gabe
Okay.
says that, I was just gonna suggest, instead of saying the 1 year, to say by Memorial Day, which is a shorter period.
I heard 9 months is a likely window.
Right.
And I think that's where the monthly check-ins would keep us on point.
Mhm.
And I hate to do this, but I'd also like to add that the city will commit resources in terms of staff time for grant funding.
We got a lot there. I can see it.
So yeah, let's come back to that. Richard, I just wanted to make,
Yeah, I apologize, but I think it's a point of order. I think that you
Yes.
also need to include very specifically that you are approving the CDP.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Good catch. So we need, so to start over, we need to, I guess, that we're approving the CDP. It sounds like we said a term of 9 months, so I need to understand if we can do that. Yeah, and then milestones monthly at the city council, and the city council committing both the trail funds as well as grant writing resources. Is that what I heard?
That's the grant writing.
Correct me.
Yeah, definitely.
Like Angela would help, basically, right?
I don't know if we do need to put that into this though.
I don't know.
I think the idea that.
Just say-
I think we want
Yeah.
to show that
Eli
what
says
we're
yes.
willing to commit, right? So if you commit staff time to at least pursue funding, that could, by definition, mean that something else is put down, like this is prioritized. Right? And I could take a stab at it, only just because I took notes, or unless
I
we're.
didn't know if Dave might be able to, he's been writing things down. I thought, would he, if we,
Writing, but I didn't see I'm looking for what you read.
It was, yeah, this is
that's-
page 127
that's discussion item 3 and
in today's packet, for anyone in the public that wants to follow
just
along
on-
as well.
It was a cover page.
So Steve, do you want to try?
24 to 28, but I'm not sure I was exactly the same.
Let me see, and please, I said I was in the fog and apparently it's cleared, so.
Quick.
I write quick before I forget what I'm talking about. I make a motion that we approve the CDP, and I'm not gonna refer all the numbers and everything, but that we, as a city, dedicate trail funding to this project, that we dedicate staff time to finding additional grant funding, the long-term fix, that we have monthly updates at every council meeting in the staff report on the progress, and that we set Memorial Day as an opening day target date. 2025. Did I get it all?
Yeah,
I believe so.
The only question I have is, we're gonna have monthly check-ins, but that doesn't suggest that if we're not moving, we're gonna do something about it. Is that necessary to?
I would say that if we're not gonna achieve our Memorial Day opening day, and if we're not getting any money or so on, you know what I mean? If
Yeah.
we're not seeing progress
Progress.
towards all these things, then that's the point, is to pivot, I think. I mean,
But
we
it
can
doesn't need to
explicitly,
be in motion, the pivot part.
if you want it, you can add that.
I mean,
How
With
about we'll.
the monthly check-ins to
Monthly check-ins and assessment.
Yeah,
That sounds good. And the only thing, short-term versus long-term, let's just leave that. It doesn't need to be in the motion, but I just like to park the concept that as we are looking, as we're having these monthly meetings, we'll be looking for a short-term solution and then the longer-term one. I mean, I just want to make, I think to Steve's point, what I've heard from the public and just in my travels is that this wasn't a priority for the council, but opening this trail is a priority for the council. Trails are a priority for the council, so.
opening it
Anyway.
correctly. I just want to say,
Yes.
opening it correctly. We could open it
Yeah.
today,
Well, right,
and our insurance will go through the roof.
right,
So.
right, and people will get hurt.
Yeah.
so should we have, I'd like to Gabe, you got this, you know, that.
Yeah, we
I mean, it's must.
so we can second it.
Well, and just to clarify.
I'm gonna read it
is
back.
Closure a year, 9 months?
Memorial Day 2025.
So until, the closure is until Memorial Day, okay.
Target. Yeah, so the approval of the CDP, which is the appeal of the planning commission's denial of the coastal development permit, the continued temporary closure of the Axel Memorial Trail with four additional conditions. One, to commit funding to the project. Two, to dedicate grant staff for search for funding. 3, monthly progress reports and assessments to the city council. And 4, set Memorial Day 2025 as a target date.
Beautiful.
Sounds perfect. And I will second the motion.
Oh, I was gonna second it. It's so long ago, I forgot it was.
Sorry, everyone. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Thank you. I want to thank the Tri-Ancestral Society for joining us this evening, the Rancheria for their insights and input. The Planning Commission, thank you guys very much, and we apologize for the frustration, and we will stay on top of this. So we really appreciate it, bringing it to us.
I've been
Thanks,
either
Scott.
now or after we finish. I don't just take it quickly.
A quick break.
Bio break.
For sure. Yes. Okay. So the council would like to take a 10-minute bio break, and we will resume at 8:17.
This is one of those where it's like, never don't stop. The point comes, like, am I supposed to stop or am I not supposed to? Like, I want to vote to deny the appeal of the approval of the, like, what are we doing?
So that's why I wanted to get the verbiage.
Yeah.
Some of these old papers and smart notifications.
Oh, they may have had another, yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, I know. Aaron's got some excuse about fighting fires. Right. I mean, I think her.
It's.
I'll send it to you right now.
Yeah, so it's.
We can.
Been there.
You guys need to stop putting us in the middle. We don't have to do anything.
Yeah, we'll take down the.
That's what they talk to. This thing would forever stall.
Recording stopped.
Because at first I was like, ooh, the process is. I haven't been to one in so long. Anyway, it just seems like I was grateful that. And then one more, I think we'll bring you something. We have something.
Sure.
I was gonna say, it's not. But. It's supposed to be. Maybe not.
It's.
We have. So it's only.
I think Eli's point is that, you know, as soon as you're ready to do something, that's when. Doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Like how much?
I said.
I think this was a good discussion.
I tried listening and you showed up. And you're here. All right, good.
I agree.
In some direction.
Yeah.
But you know, every time I check, people also give me something. That's church. Now we wanted
Yeah, exactly.
I thought that was too. It hasn't.
Probably gotta have
So.
Yes. I sent it to Sharon yesterday, so I think. Yes.
Oh, I know.
So you've been out.
Yeah. We went out.
It's rock. It's
You know, it's great. It's the.
That's why I think so.
Yeah.
There are a lot.
Yeah, I think.
I'm so sorry, I can't.
So.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
That's not open it up.
It wasn't that great.
Here we go. I think we should have a break.
All right.
Good choice.
Recording in progress.
All right, I think we're just about out of time for our break. So we will go to item number 4, which is the first reading of ordinance 2024-02 and adoption of resolution 2024-14 zoning and general plan amendment request to change the zoning and general plan designations of the property from this is property at 12 Berry Road, to change it from PR to SR, from public and religious to suburban residential. So let me turn it over to staff for this.
All right, thank you. To me, this is a fairly simple project. It does have some moving parts because it involves a ordinance and a resolution. The resolution is to amend the general plan, land use designation, and the ordinance is to amend the zoning map. If I had thought about it a little sooner, I might have seen if we could get our updated map certified, because I had to, it's like using whiteout on these maps from the 70s. I'm not very good, I apologize, but this is what's certified. I think this is a pattern we've seen with the several of the churches in town have been, abandoned by the religious organizations for various reasons, and they fold into individual ownership. So this is one of those churches. It was vacant for several years before it was purchased by the applicants. It has an attached apartment on the church, and the applicants would like to convert the church into a residence and maintain the apartment as an ADU. That is an allowable use in the SR zone, but not in the PR zone. So it's zoned public and religious currently. The only residential use in the public and religious zone is a caretaker unit. So that's what they want to do is not consistent. But the surrounding properties are all zoned suburban residential. So this rezoning would be consistent with the neighborhood. Essentially, it's a down zoning, which is why it's fairly simple to me, because it allows a narrower range of uses at a lower density. PR zone, you could have parks and museums and community centers and all sorts of different things. So it's a simpler zone. One of the complicating factors with this was that we found that there was a wetland on site. It's a little bit east of the existing church. So it took a little time to get that mapped and lined up, and they had a septic system design that had to be moved. And getting a site plan, the mapping for the wetland wasn't fitting on the site plan. So it just all took some time to get it all together. And, you know, where any new development will maintain a 50-foot setback from the wetland. It appears to be an old drainage channel. Actually, so, this was referred to the resource agencies, Coastal Commission, Department of Fish and Wildlife. Department of Fish and Wildlife went out to the site and checked it out. Didn't have any additional concerns. This approval tonight is just the rezone. So once this will have to go to the Coastal Commission for certification. And once the Coastal Commission approves it, then the applicants can come get a permit for the septic system and the second part of the use permit. So they'll be back, but that'll just be at the planning commission level for this. An amendment requires action by the planning commission, which they recommended approval unanimously to the council. And so staff is also recommending approval of the rezone. And then next month on the consent agenda, we can have the second reading as well as the resolution for submitting this to the council.
Okay. Any questions from the council? I think there was a comment about the wetlands are not addressed in the general plan currently. Is that what you were saying? Is there a plan to address it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. And, you know, under, you know, the city's LCP was the first in the state to be certified. So it's deficient in, you know, several things. And, you know, it has a riparian setback. The Coastal Act protects what they term now as environmentally sensitive habitat areas. So, you know, that might be rare plants, it might be, you know, endangered species habitat, it might be riparian areas, wetlands. So they all sort of fall under that environmentally sensitive habitat area. And so definitely in our general plan update, if you look at the conservation element, there's quite a few policies.
Great, thank you. Any public comments or questions regarding this project? Okay, then I will bring it back to the council.
Let's see, this first reading, I move that we approve the first reading of ordinance 2024-02 and adoption of resolution 2024-14.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. All right, thank you. Thanks, Trevor. Let's see, so we skipped number 5 because we already discussed that. So we are on number 6, discussion decision regarding the revised ballot wording previously adopted in resolution 2024-08. So this is for measure L. Is this the new wording for that? So that'll be, it looks like, sorry, I have to fast forward here to see what page this is on.
$100 and something.
Yeah, I'm going through the Humsan agreement. Yeah, it's 200 and something. Right there. It would be, the actual wording is. Yeah. Gabe, are you?
I got it, yeah, 217 in the packet that the most recent packet. Anyway.
Okay.
I can summarize. But you did a pretty good job, but it's interesting, we were running with the same ballot measure language for the last 3, maybe 4 elections. Scans took a look at it this time. Maybe the sun was shining through his office a different way or something, but it dawned on him that instead of using 3/4 of a cent.
Oh, right.
With the 3/4 cent. He liked it better with 0.05%.
0.075.
I'm sorry, 0.075% transaction and use tax to be adopted in the city. So he does still start the ballot measure, shall a 3-quarters of 1%, and he puts it in parentheses 0.05%. 0.075%. So it really just boiled down to the way he looked at it, and he said, you know what, this is a better wording. So we verified with the county elections office, who we sent this original resolution to a month ago, that they wouldn't take issue because we haven't created the ballot yet. We're gonna work on that in September. And Nicole Goldbach, who's the elections manager, said, hey, whatever you guys decide, go for it. We haven't created the ballot yet. So for housekeeping, I thought it would be nice, since we do oftentimes every 4 years, if this continues, we do some copying and pasting to continue and make it a little easier for us to go through the process. That if there was a paper trail showing the wording change, so that it isn't in a couple of years, if the council decides to do it again, like, well, how do we change the wording on this after all? So that's why it's before you tonight, just to, there's no substantive change whatsoever. It's just a matter of perception, and we thought it would be good to have a revised resolution before the council formally adopted.
Okay.
And parenthetically, it says 0.075, that needs to be 0.75. 0.75% is 75% of a 1.
Right.
So right now you have it at 75 thousandths instead of 7.
It's listed on the same things, huh?
It's listed both ways. One of them is
Look, I failed math 4 times in college. This is my day to shine.
I wrote the title of the agenda at 0.75, and it shows in the
Yeah, it needs to be points. It's 0.75.
0.75, and Mr. Gans gave us the 0.75.
Oh.
And generally, when it comes from the higher level authority brass, I just say, okay, so I will.
They're the same.
1%, so 0.75.
And then just point. Yeah.
0.75, yeah.
Yeah, we're all in. So with the proposed action, well, any other comments or questions about this? And then any public comments or questions? Okay. I see none. So bringing it back, then just saying the proposed action here would be to adopt the revised resolution calling for an election on a proposal to continue the city of Trinidad's 0.75% sales tax and use tax for 4 years, measure L. So move.
Yeah.
And is there a second?
Second, as long as everything says 0.75.
Okay.
So in the language proposed on this new resolution to be put forth before the voters, it shall say, shall a 3/4%, and then in parentheses.
Oh, so you want to,
7.5?
Yeah.
Okay.
it's 0.7.
I yield to that.
So 0.75%. Yeah.
I got you. Okay, I'll mention this to Mr. King.
Yes.
And resolution 2024-08 has the 0.75 in the title.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's anywhere else that it.
Just
And
Yeah,
then-
so the actual
Well,
proposed
but then-
action is correct, but
Yeah, but then now, therefore, it be resolved. Number 1 in bold is 0.075. So we need to get rid of that 0.075 in number 1 of the now.
yeah.
Therefore shall be it resolved thing.
Yeah, did you check the resolution too, Steve? Is it okay in there?
That's what I'm looking at is.
So
resolution.
yeah, it says 0.75. Let's
All the
see.
whereases are fine, but it's the therefore be it resolved.
And now therefore it be it resolved.
Number 1 in bold, shall a 0.75%, parentheses, 0.075 needs to be 0.75.
I'll communicate that to us. So that's what you're approving.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so we're approving the 0.75% versus what we used to have, the 3/4%. So it's just a change in nomenclature. So I don't remember who made that. Did I made the motion?
I
Did anybody-
seconded it,
And
yeah.
Steve seconded it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. That was. We're starting to get tired. Okay. Yeah, I think. Okay, the next one is discussion decision regarding first reading of ordinance 2024, extending the 0.75% transactions and use tax for general purposes to continue to be administered by the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration. So what's this one, Gabe?
Well, there's an ordinance on the books that authorizes the city to collect this tax. The full ordinance, it's several. So when the city continues that tax, the amendment to that ordinance effectively amends termination date. So this ordinance is an abbreviated amendment to the long ordinance by saying, if the voters approve it, CDTFA, California Department of Tax and Fee Administration, please don't terminate it, continue it. So it's a Band-Aid, for that termination process. So by the council adopting this ordinance tonight, it's basically saying, if the voters approve it, this ordinance will be effective.
I see. Okay.
Not terminating, but rather extending the date beyond March 31st, 2025 for 4 issues.
Okay, and it's the first reading in this
And
case.
this is the first reading. It'll be on consent for the next September meeting, and then it would be essentially parked until the result
Until
of the
it's
election.
valid.
Yep.
Okay. All right, any questions or comments on this one, council? Any questions or comments from the public? All right, back to the council. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I move that we accept the first reading of the ordinance 2024-03, extending the 0.75% transactions and use tax for the general purposes to continue to be administered by the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration.
All right, I'll second the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so then we are on.
8.
Which one are we on? 8? Review just the discussion decision of the sales tax and partial analysis from the city attorney and an argument in favor of Measure L prepared for council consideration. So this is where we rewrote the verbiage for Measure L, and we need the whole council to kind of read and approve it. And it's 226, page 226, right, Gabe? Please.
The impartial analysis is not it's not really a debatable council action tonight. It was just thrown in because in this case, we're asking if any other council members would like to endorse the argument in favor. So there wasn't any motion made in the past several months at all I don't believe, to delegate one person on the council to write that. It's just traditionally, customarily been a council member or two took a stab at it, and then it was just the argument in favor without question. But in this case, and in some cases, they brought it forward to the council forum to ask if other councils would like to support it and endorse it. So this is your opportunity if you'd like to weigh in as a group to show the community, because it will say endorsed by all council members, that you support this.
I support it.
Yeah,
I support it.
Absolutely.
All right. We all support it.
Yeah, and ideally you'll have a vote so that this way we can have it officially on record that at a meeting that the council took that action. So people wouldn't think that, Brown Act is violated.
So bring it to a vote.
Yeah.
We state in it for the 5 members or.
Oh, that's a good point. Since Jack's not here.
Right.
So 4 of the 5 members approved.
Well, and the record will show that Jack wasn't here. So
Yeah.
can he approve by some other means, or does it really matter?
That's a good question. That's what I was wondering. Can you ask him offline, or it needs to be here, right?
I would think it should be here in a meeting.
And I think the vote can clearly state, Tuttle absent.
We can have that on.
Or
He
you could
didn't
just put our name.
He didn't abstain and he didn't vote no. He was simply not in the meeting, so he couldn't have voted.
Okay. All right, so all those in favor of supporting Measure L?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We are moving right along. And Gabe has to take notes, so I don't want to go too fast.
Okay.
Okay, so the next one is number 9. So that's the update, the calendar deadline update for sales tax and the city council election.
Don't leave
And I'll
the
be
good.
very curious
this guy's gonna run away.
Hi, Sarah, did you say something?
Sorry,
Oh,
I don't know how I unmuted.
Okay, no worries. If you have any comments, just feel free to shout out. There's not that many people left, so. So let's see. So this is the, one of the things I wanted to ask you about, Gabe, on number 9 is about the city council election. So we're going to talk about that, and the deadlines and things. Is my understanding is we have 2 seats available and we only have 1 candidate right now. And I didn't know if that impacted us in other ways that are not obvious, like as it pertains to the sales tax measure or,
No,
Okay.
nothing significant would be impacted by not having those counts, the full city council. However, today, at the last minute, we have interest from 2 people.
Oh,
Good.
okay,
So, and those,
good.
You
Can
know,
you say who?
at this, I mean, there's, when the candidate takes out papers, they become public,
Yeah,
whether they turn them in or not. And then when the press calls, they always ask, who's taking out papers, and they want names. We always tell them they haven't submitted their papers yet, but they took out the papers.
oh, once they
So-
do, it's public though, right?
It is public.
I see.
Yeah, so Bryce Kenny submitted, and I had his nomination signature certified today. So the county elections office has certified everybody that nominated him, so he is a ready to go candidate. And then today, before this meeting began, I had 2 conversations with 2 individuals. Andrew Davis, yeah.
Did he?
And, yeah.
Down.
And Carrie, I think you pronounced her name Buriella, I believe, on Underwood. So I don't discourage anyone from taking the papers. I mentioned to Carrie, she said, I'm here because I heard, there was need.
Has the date passed or how does that work?
Well, because the 2 of you, as incumbents, did not file by the deadline of August 9th, Friday, the deadline was extended until tomorrow.
Oh, I see. Okay,
It's an extension period if the incumbents do not file.
Yeah.
So we're in that extension period right now. And those individuals have their work cut out for them. They have until, frankly, my deadline was today. However, the technical deadline is tomorrow. So it puts me in a little bit of a hot seat. Because now I have to hustle, I have to drop everything and hustle all the papers that they turn in tomorrow to the county elections office.
If they turn them in.
If they turn them in to get them certified, and they don't certify right on the spot, they take time too. So we all have a little bit of time needed.
Yeah. This would have been a great place to get signatures.
So.
Do they have to have signatures by tomorrow?
Yeah, they had to have them
Is
by
it
today.
10 or 15?
And
I told them both, I said, because they both came in like after, or whatever time it was, one of them was at 5:30 tonight. Now, and I gave her the papers and I gave them both papers and I said, you guys get this to me by 10 or 11 tomorrow. And I have to drive them to the elections office, they're closed from 12 to 1. So we might not know officially until after 1 o'clock tomorrow if you're a candidate. Now, we might end up having 3 for 2. Because
Big problem to have.
generally, it's not a bad problem. Yeah, exactly. And I would never say to someone, oh, we already have we have it filled, even.
yeah, I
though
was
it's
wondering
final out.
if we have a full council, so.
So we shall see. The jury's still out on this one and until the bell tolls tomorrow at 5.
Jack and I put our names in again just to kind of fuck things.
Mix it up.
No, oops. No, on both of us.
I don't think you're qualified to do it since you didn't do it by the 9th.
Oh, good, good. I've been telling people I'm unqualified now. It's a.
Yeah. So that's where we're at.
So this should say Breckenridge.
Yeah. Gabe, can you correct?
Oh,
Including-
do I need to put, Kelly?
Yeah.
Kelly Breckenridge.
The mayor is excellent, but.
No, I was just gonna say I have to.
I'll fix that.
Twice the work.
I'll fix that. So,
Thank you.
so really, tomorrow will be the day we know what the ballot's gonna be.
That's great though, that we have people that. I know Bryce has been on the council for at least once, maybe
Yeah,
twice.
80s,
Yeah.
late 80s, early 90s.
Was he mayor? Gabe?
Well, he tried. I don't know if he got it, but I have a button that says Bryce from mayor,
Oh,
like from 1986 or something. I don't know.
oh,
I think
okay.
he was
Wow.
Yeah, Jan said that.
Good for him.
Paperwork that he signed that he was mayor.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He was mayor.
That's
Yeah.
your, I
I've
graduated.
seen those documents.
Oh,
So that's where we're at right now.
And
We
he's got-
even Anton had someone approach him today who lives outside the city, who
Oh,
wanted to run also.
Yeah.
So we created a little bit of extra interest
That's
at the end.
amazing. A little late.
I was thinking about that today, that had we thought of that early enough, I mean, I don't know if that's something we could do down the road, to say that there could be one counselor from the greater Trinidad area.
No,
Can we can't?
the planning commission you can, but I don't think
Yes.
the city council.
I think that's
I
that.
was wondering.
That's that. Stay on the law.
All right, well, that answers.
It's an incentive to annex.
Yeah, there you go. Quick,
You
we'll
can
do
run the
a
city.
quick annex.
Because I reached out to somebody
Always annex
today
the house.
and, yeah, I reached out to someone today. I didn't know Langford was so, chopped
It's a
up.
mix. It's chopped up.
Yeah, it's chopped up. And so I reached out to someone who wasn't.
So this month is we're gonna close the chapter on the deadlines that we lose
Yeah.
sleep over. I heard today, I was talking to the elections folks, and there was one city that didn't get their bond measure documents in time or something, and that's really a pain.
That's a lot of work.
And I
Yeah.
to Ms. Breckenridge's comments today about the minutes, like when I get into these kind of months, I have to prioritize. I'm like, no sales tax for the next couple of years until we have a special election, or, and that's something that I've been really losing sleep over, is these election deadlines, because, to screw that up, it could bad for the city. So the good news is that these election deadlines are they're peaking right now this week. There will be an opportunity for the community to file rebuttals to the argument in favor, because we do not have an argument against.
Yeah.
So the ballot right now will show the voter information pamphlet will show the impartial analysis and the argument in favor. Whoever's name ends up being on the ballot, we will know by the end of the day. So we'll see how it goes. And then September, October, November are basically when we're preparing the ballot.
Yeah.
So once we get through August here, a little bit of the deadlines behind, and you just look forward, coast for a month or two. So that's all I have to report. And we'll see how things go tomorrow night.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. All
Yeah, I
right.
hope they get their signatures. If they decide to, it would be a shame not to get signatures. Like, I've made the commitment. It's a huge decision, and not to have the 10 signatures would be tough. So,
Yeah, they can always reach out.
yeah.
I'm happy to sign. I know those.
We all know where they live. Let's go.
Yeah, I will go now.
Right next, almost.
No, that's a brown
Guys.
recommendation.
All right,
We can
future agenda items. Anything anybody want to tee up?
I just think.
Can't think of it right
There's,
now.
Sarah has a comment.
Oh, Sarah, please. We
Hi.
need something to keep us on the straight and narrow here.
So I did want to request that maybe the government to government policy be put on for review, and possibly have the city's attorney, Russ Gans, in attendance to answer questions, because I think that there was some misspeaking earlier on what government to government meetings are supposed to cover, and what confidential information is supposed to be covered. I don't believe that it's just graves. I believe that it's all cultural resources. And I also believe that that to request a government to government meeting is to discuss concerns about safety of cultural resources or the possibility of cultural resources, and not to discuss or, provide complaints or, about other meetings that are happening. And so, but, I don't want to give interpretation. And so I think it would be a good refresher for all of us, the public, and, possibly city council, just to get clarification from from the city's own attorney, since this was such a big issue, and it was, kind of being abused there for a number of years. And after the change, I don't know how much it's been used, but I think it might be helpful to get that clarification from your own attorney.
I think that's a great idea.
And I would
Yeah.
add to that, Sarah, I think the council might benefit in the G2G policy to have a little more detailed guidance on what to report out, because I agree that it's not, that part is a little, having had to report out for years, I would have liked a little more guidance on what is reportable and what is not, so that it's not up to each individual government to government meeting to determine what's reportable. If that makes sense. And Russ is the one that designed that G2G policy, so he has good understanding and good base. So I agree with that.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to get that back.
Yeah. Clearly, I need the refresher. So, okay, so other future topics?
Anything on the water rate change?
That's going out to public comment for 45 days or something.
Yeah, it'll be on the agenda September 10th.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then where are we with the general plan? We haven't seen an element from the, I know that the council, the commission is always busy, right? We saw it tonight. They've had quite a bit of activity, but any elements that might be ready? And I know that we've also been waiting on the coastal commission, but.
Yeah, they don't have anything ready for us yet.
Okay.
It would have been ideal if we could have paused earlier and asked the four planning commissioners and Trevor.
Yeah.
So we'll just add it to future items and
Yeah.
to Steve, because I was wondering the same.
Yeah.
And I was gonna ask Trevor, but we were.
Right, and
busy
last
talking about
we
other
heard from
things.
Trevor, she had at least 3 elements at the coastal commission for quite some
For a
time.
while now, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Mike Wilson is our county supervisor who's on the coastal commission. So maybe a concerted effort from the city to Mike as a commissioner saying, we're in the county. Can we please see the coastal commission act on some of these elements? But we need, specific language so that Trevor could say this was submitted on this day and this time, but maybe that's something that the city could ask Mike as a coastal commissioner to get this thing moved up the docket a little bit. We've been waiting a long time for this.
Yeah. Yep.
By the time it gets approved, it could already be obsolete, some of it, just given what.
It'll be time for the next. basically.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's it then. We are officially adjourned. Thanks again for everyone who's hung in. Sarah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you all.
Thank you.